protect yourself.
If you take a longer term view, you said earlier that one day you hope your children will inherit your gold bars, I assume. What will be the best performing commodity in 10 years? And this is a question from a viewer. What is your best long-term investment?
Well, for 10 years, I'm not smart enough to tell you that. I'm a horrible
Yes,
marketer.
you are.
I'm a horrible trader.
Hazard
But
guess.
I would say it'd have to be agriculture or agricultural products over the next 10 years, mainly because they are so depressed on a historic basis.
Any
but also
ones in
silver.
particular?
Well, silver's another precious metal. If you look at precious metals, for instance, silver is 70% below its all-time high. Gold is making all-time highs. I prefer to look at things that are depressed rather than things that are high. But you could look at coffee, you can look at orange juice. There are a lot of agricultural products which are just astonishingly depressed over the past many decades. Sugar, I mean, you can't believe how cheap some of these things are.
Because not too long ago, you were on the show saying that we all should be farmers because then we will be driving Lamborghinis. I mean, not
Right.
the bankers. I mean, so soft commodities will be the way to go. I mean, is that still a choice?
To me, it's very clear. We have a major shift taking place. For 30 years, it's been financial types and MBAs. Now it's going to be the people who produce real goods. This has happened throughout history, these kind of shifts. I mean, it sounds startling to people, apparently, but to me, it's quite normal and quite obvious. I'm telling you, you should become a farmer or start a farm program. You
In 5 years, maybe.
You start an agricultural program.
But having said that, commodities have not had, a straight run. It's been pretty volatile. I mean, how do you hedge against such volatility?
Well, I always have longs and I always have shorts. I've been selling a couple of things short here in the last month or so to protect myself, and hopefully if things do collapse again, my shorts will go down and my longs will be protected.
Okay.
It doesn't always work that way, but let's hope so.
When we talk about China, inflation hitting through the roof, I mean, we have concerns in the markets about tightening measures. I mean, can China rein in inflation without causing growth to slow down?
Well, there is inflation in China, but there's inflation everywhere. Some countries recognize it, India, Norway, Australia, China, and they're trying to do something about it. Some lie about it, like the UK and the US, and they don't tell the truth. But there is inflation everywhere. Prices are going up. That's one reason gold is going higher. But copper's near all-time highs. Many things are going up in price. China's doing its best to cut back. There is the problem in China that they have a blocked currency, so all that money is trapped in China, and it has to go into something, which causes inflation. But they recognize that, and they're trying to do something.
But inflation is a politically sensitive issue in China. What else can China do to rein in inflation?
Well, you've got to do, you just said it. If you have inflation, you can either let it get worse, but then you have a much worse problem down the road, or you try to stop it. The best approach, of course, is to stop it before it happens, which most people don't do. But the Chinese now, since they have inflation, are trying to do something about it. Will it be enough? I don't know. You can ask me in 6 months or a year, and then we'll know.
People are talking about perhaps a slowdown in China. We heard the discussion with Nora Rabini there. But with what's transpiring in Europe, can the world afford a slowdown in China?
Well, first of all, China, as wonderful as it is and as growing as it is, the Chinese economy is 1/10 the size of Europe and America. The developed world is massively bigger than China. So even if China blooms and the rest of the world doesn't, it's not going to help the world, because you got to keep these things in perspective. To repeat, Europe, America, and Japan are over 10 times as big as the Chinese economy. So you better worry about other things before you worry about China.
Lots of things to worry about, and there's a question here from a viewer who wants to know, your thoughts on rare earth minerals, because China is on the hunt to buy all it can.
We all should be. I am, if I could find a way. China has something like over 90% of the world's rare earths right now, and they're incredibly important, and they're trying to buy more. China could have a stranglehold on the rest of the world if it ever comes to it. If you know any ways to invest in rare earths, let me know. There's one company listed in Singapore, but other than that, I don't really know any rare earth plays. I'd like to find some.
Earlier you said that any drop in the Chinese property market is a buying opportunity. At this point in time, what would you advise viewers to buy?
I'm not buying. I wouldn't think of buying property in China right now. I mean, I see two bubbles in the world. One of them is Chinese coastal urban real estate. No question in my mind that that's got to come down, and the Chinese government knows it too, and they're doing their best to bring it down. So I wouldn't think of buying Chinese real estate, not for a while.
When that bubble bursts, what are the implications?
when the bubble bursts, some real estate speculators going to go broke. It always happens that way. Lots of real
Impact on
estate.
the economy?
Well, it'll have some impact, but the Chinese economy is not totally real estate. In China, you have to have a job. You have to put money down when you buy a property. It's not like what happened in the West during that bubble. No, many people are going to suffer. But the Chinese economy is many, many, many other things than just real estate.
Whenever something comes out of North Korea, I mean, that could be a buying opportunity.
Well, I'm actually optimistic that there'll be a merger between North and South Korea in the foreseeable future. I think it'll be one of the great surprises in the next few years. And if that's the case, yeah, it's going to be fabulous opportunities in Korea. If I were you, I ask you to become a farmer. What you should do is go to South Korea, go up to the DMZ, and buy farmland just south of the DMZ. It's very cheap up there, I assure you. And as I said, agriculture is great. That particular farmland in the world is very cheap, and it's going to be extremely valuable if I'm right that the merger is coming.
Why are you so upbeat about that merger? No indication so far that's going to happen anytime soon, as you indicated.
That's good news. You know, when people on Bloomberg are talking about the possibility, then I'll have to start worrying.
But what is it? What is it that's driving?
He's an old man. Many changes are taking place. I was in North Korea a year or two ago. You could see that the mood in North Korea is such that they would like a merger. They would like to have peace and prosperity, and I see it coming.
Okay, now let's take it closer to home. I mean, we have a question here from a viewer who wants to know about emerging markets. What markets are you liking? India, Vietnam, what's your take on the Thai market at this point in time, given what's transpired in the political arena?
Well, I haven't looked at the Thai market, mainly because I'm doing other things, but I have started shorting emerging markets in the last week or two. So emerging markets were among the most powerful in the last year or so. So I've started shorting emerging markets. I shorted emerging market ETF. So I'm not buying any emerging markets right now.
Okay, another question here. Rightly or wrongly, an overview of what's happening in the world. Rightly or wrongly, monetary authorities will fight sovereign default till the bitter end. When do you think the monetary will reach the point that the sovereigns cannot be saved?
Well, we're getting there. We're getting closer. I don't know because I don't know how fast they're going to spend the money. But if you look at the Western economies anyway, many of them are up to like 90 or 100 or over 100% of debt to GDP. That has always been near a tipping point, to use that term. So we're getting there. This is not something that I said before. It's not something our children and grandchildren have to worry about. It's something we have to worry about because it's going to happen within the decade, perhaps even sooner. So don't be thinking about your children. You better start worrying about protecting yourself.
Is that keeping you up late at night?
I hope I'm protecting myself. I'm not saying awake at night worrying about it because I think I'm doing the right things. You can ask me in 20 years.
Okay, more questions. Fast and furious as we come to the end of the show. What are your projections for growth in emerging markets, specifically Brazil, going forward, and how will that affect the mess in Europe?
Well, I'd rather own things like Brazil, which is a natural resource-based economy, than I had some of the ones that aren't, say Belgium, for instance, which is not a natural resource-based economy. All other things being equal, people should have their money in soundly managed natural resource-based economies or natural resources. That's the way to protect. Now, if the world goes down the tubes, everybody's going to suffer, but you'll suffer less there than elsewhere.
Okay, one question from Ireland before we let you go. Can a series of European privatizations of state utilities rescue the euro?
It would be wonderful if they did it. They got a lot to sell in Europe if they would do it. I mean, if they can sell the Parthenon and many, many, many other things in Europe, it would help pay down a lot of this debt. Are they going to do it? I don't see any indications, but maybe this is a slap in the face for the Europeans and they realize we got to do something. We got to shape up.
Jim Rogers, he's been with us for a full hour. We thank you for your thoughts on the trade today.